Don't move to Tulsa, Oklahoma if you're not okay with these top 10 things I'm going to discuss in this video. Hi, I'm Rodney Dixon. I'm your Tulsa, Oklahoma real estate agent. I've been doing this 26 years, making real estate as smooth as possible. But if you have some non-negotiables that you are absolutely not interested in, well, you need to know about these 10 things for the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. Make sure you're okay with them before you move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. All right, are you ready? We're going to start with number 10, Pollen. Do extra research before you move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. If this is a non-negotiable for you, well, then you may want to consider other areas. Tulsa is ranked pretty high as far as our pollen goes. Matter of fact, we just have high pollen, high allergy related things in our air here. Just need to be aware of that before you move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Have a game plan on things that will help you deal with those allergies and maybe knock out the symptoms. Do your research and make sure if Tulsa, Oklahoma is still the place you want to be, if that is a non-negotiable for you. Number 9, toll roads. If toll roads, you absolutely hate them, well, we have them in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what you need to know and just be aware of is with the toll roads in Tulsa, if you put in your map, hey, I want to get from point A to point B, it may include some toll roads. So you just need to know that. Now, the toll roads here aren't super expensive as some areas I've been to, but they're still there. So I do have a toll pass. I have to say though, toll roads will get you there faster, which is why a lot of those are included in your map. So if you use Apple Maps, or if you use Google Maps, you can toggle that off. You can turn it off where you do not use toll roads. Tell me what you think. Mention it in the comments below. If you're familiar with Tulsa, Oklahoma, you live in this area, I'd love to hear your take on it. You can avoid majority of all these toll roads by taking other roads. If you want to get there faster, it may be worth the 50 cents or 75 cents or $1 that some of these toll roads may charge. And like I said, it has less traffic usually on these toll roads. That's something to highly consider. It can help keep you a little bit safer, especially during rush hour traffic. So just keep that in mind. Okay, number 8, construction zones. If you hate construction zones, well, we have our fair share here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa is a growing city. So because Tulsa is a growing city, we are expanding, which means our infrastructure is expanding. So you're going to see those construction areas as you drive around town. It is what it is. I don't know what to say to you and be seen as a positive thing. Of course, when you're on the road and you're trying to get somewhere quickly, that could potentially delay you quite a bit. But for the most part, what I love about Tulsa, and it's worth mentioning, you can get anywhere around Tulsa, Oklahoma, usually within about 15 to 20 minutes. So a lot of times you can get across town in 15 to 20 minutes. Now, if there's some road construction going on, depending on that road construction, it could add an extra 10, 15 minutes to your commute. So you just need to be aware of that. So if that's a non-negotiable, there are some other surrounding suburbs that may not be expanding as quickly that you may be interested in. Maybe you like living out in the country and that to you is more important. And if that's the case, reach out, we'll connect, and we'll talk about these different areas, niche areas that may be better suited for you. And number 7 is public transportation. So Tulsa is not a strong public transportation city. So Tulsa, Oklahoma, we do have public transportation. We've got the buses, there's bus stops all around town, but it's not a strong public transportation like what you're going to find in some of these big cities. So even though Tulsa is the second largest city in Oklahoma, you just need to be aware of that. So if that is a non-negotiable for you and you don't have a vehicle, I would recommend you to get a vehicle. That's going to be the best way to get anywhere you need to get around town. Now, if you're downtown Tulsa, you could probably get away with some of that. But again, we just don't have these little trolley cars that you hop on and hop off. We don't have that stuff going on in the Tulsa, Oklahoma, even in that Tulsa, Oklahoma downtown area. So you just need to be aware of that. So if that is a major non-negotiable for you, well, you need to consider that. I might be able to answer a lot of these questions. As a real estate agent for Tulsa, Oklahoma, I've done this 26 years. Love to have a chat with you. Maybe we can resolve some of your biggest concerns and find ways around certain things, because I can connect you with links that you can review online where you can say, okay, well, actually, if I lived here, maybe this could work because of this or that. That might be a viable option to kind of resolve some of these frustrations that maybe you have moving from a large city where you might be to a little bit of a smaller city, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, guys, and number 6, earthquakes. I know, right? Is that not crazy? Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have our fair share of earthquakes, and you can blame it on this or blame it on that. It doesn't matter. What it is we do have earthquakes. Now, here's the honest truth. You're not really going to feel them much at all. Usually it's coming from miles away from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but we're still picking up like these type of magnitudes. So again, unless it's a 3.8 or greater, or you're just really sensitive to any tiny vibration at all, most of the time you're not going to know that you just went through an earthquake. So you just need to be aware of that. But again, it can be kind of an eye-opener if you weren't expecting that, you had no clue, and you're here and we have a 5.0. So just to give you an example, past earthquakes in 2024, now this is in Oklahoma. In 2024, Oklahoma has had 1,583 quakes of magnitudes up to 5.1. So generally we don't really start to feel it unless we're just there really calm. We might feel something at around that 3 something mark. But once it gets over that 4 and gets into that 5, well, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel a little bit of a rumble. You're going to see your water in your glass kind of shaking just a little bit. So you just need to be aware of that. But isn't that crazy? Now, I can honestly tell you, I've not felt 1,583 earthquakes in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just haven't. So just be aware, but we have, it says here in Oklahoma, we've had one that was a magnitude 5. We've had 2 that was a magnitude between 4 and 5. And then the others smaller than that right there. But I just want you to aware, yes, Oklahoma, we also have earthquakes here. They're just generally not the big earthquakes that cause you running outside of your house. Number 5, nightlife. Activities. So if you like to get out and you just enjoy hitting the club scene, and you come from a really big city where they have nightlife 24/7 every single day, well, Tulsa, you're not going to find that so much. Now there's some pretty good nightlife downtown Tulsa area, but that's usually on weekends, and you might find that Friday, Saturday, maybe Thursday. You've got some pocket areas around town. But if you're coming from a large city, much larger than Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you want to know what the nightlife in Tulsa, Oklahoma is, well, do your research before you get here. But we do have nightlife where they're open until 2 a.m. There's some clubs that are open past 2, but 2 a.m. is basically what you're going to get with some of these clubs and places like that on Fridays and Saturdays. Now, during the week, it's going to be harder to find that. Again, I've done this for 26 years. I've been a real estate agent. Part of that is answering questions for buyers that are coming in from out of town because they're acclimated to what they've lived around. So if nightlife is really important to you, do your research and feel free to drop a line. Reach out, call me, and we could even do a Zoom call if you'd like. Just go to contactrodney.com and request a Zoom call, and then we can chat what's important to you. A lot of this we might be able to kind of work through and find those areas that you would favor more when moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma. If your non-negotiable is still a little negotiable with the nightlife, I think we can make it work in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But you just need to be aware of that. All right, number 4. Okay, so if you guys are enjoying an area where there is no state income tax, well, Tulsa, Oklahoma has a state income tax. Now, it varies between 0.25% to 4.75%. So if that's a non-negotiable for you, well, that's something for you to do more research and make sure that that is something that you're definitely not interested in. The reason I say that is keep in mind the cost of living in Tulsa, Oklahoma is low. You can buy a house in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The average house price in Tulsa, Oklahoma, this is summer of 2024, is $270,000. It's all relative. You just have to kind of balance it out, find out what's most important to you. Number 3, that is school districts. All right, Tulsa school districts tend to rank lower based on similar size cities. So before you move here to Tulsa, Oklahoma, if schools are a non-negotiable to you and you want your kids in the absolute best schools, research the schools and the school districts and school areas throughout Tulsa and around Tulsa. Now, I want to read something. Tulsa encompasses 6 public elementary, middle, and high schools. 5 high schools are recognized on U.S. News and World Report's best high school rankings. So we do have some good schools here, but don't just blindly move to Tulsa, Oklahoma because a house met your price or whatnot if schools are non-negotiable for you or the most important thing to you. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Do your research. Again, book a call with me, contactrodney.com. Do your research on the schools, find the best ones for your children before you decide what areas you'd like to move to. And some of these suburbs have great schools, like Jinx is ranked A+. They're ranked incredible. Broken Arrow is a great school district as well. Bixby is a good school district. So Owasso's got some good schools. So we've got surrounding suburbs as well. And then there's also private schools. If schools are non-negotiable to you and you want the absolute best, and public isn't going to work for you, well, consider some of the private schools that we have here. And I'll do another video about private schools. I've definitely got that in the list to do. So make sure you subscribe so you're notified. Okay, number 2, crime rate. What is the crime rate in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and how does that compare to the rest of the country based on the size of Tulsa, Oklahoma? Realestate.usnews.com. And here's what it says. The metropolitan area's violent crime rate was higher than the national rate in 2022. Its rate of property crime was higher than the national rate. So Tulsa is ranking a 7.1 out of 10, has a higher crime rate than similarly sized metro areas. So you just need to be aware of that. Now, I will say, do your research. So I've lived in Tulsa my whole life. I never realized or thought Tulsa had high crime or anything like that. Again, I've been here my entire life. So it really just depends where you're at. So you can go to different areas of Tulsa, Oklahoma to find crime if you want, I'm sure, or high crime rated areas. But, if you just avoid those areas, pretty much for the most part, you're going to love it here. Tulsa generally just what I've witnessed, I just don't see a lot of crime in the Tulsa area. But I think, it's kind of like anything. If you want to try and find something, well, you're going to find it, right? If you don't want to find something, well, you're going to do the research and you're going to make sure that you're in areas around Tulsa, Oklahoma, or within Tulsa, Oklahoma, that have the lower crime rate, if that's really, really, really important to you. Now, I know that's important to most people, right? If this is a non-negotiable for you, well, then you may want to consider other areas. I know you guys have been waiting for me to go over number 1. Number 1 is weather. And when I say weather, we have 4 seasons here. So we really do. And that's kind of cool, right? That's kind of nice. So usually wintertime, you're going to get the cold. Usually summertime, you're going to get the heat. Fall time, you're going to see the leaves fall and stuff. And then, of course, you've got your spring. In spring, you're going to see everything just come to life, just burst into life, beautiful colors. And I even love the colors of the leaves that these big trees in springtime, they get that really light colored green. And then by the end of summer, they're that dark green. It's just beautiful. Tulsa's a pretty area, so we do experience all 4 seasons. We do have storms and we do have hail at times. And matter of fact, 2024, which is this year, just a month and a half, 2 months ago, some of the hail that fell here. Now, this isn't as common for the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, and it was more like quarter size. Now, that can do some damage on a car. So if you are thinking about buying a place, and you're going to be parking outside, you just need to know it's a roll of the dice on that. Some years we still usually see hail almost every year, but a lot of times it's dime size or smaller. That generally doesn't do any damage to vehicles so much. But once you start getting that quarter size hail, that golf ball size hail, even nickel size hail, where you can experience damage to your vehicle. So you just need to be aware of that. I always recommend get a garage. I tell you what I do, I hop in my car and I run over to a gas station that's got that little eaves, or I go into a park garage area, and we had them all over the place around Tulsa. You just need to know where those are, and which leads me to my next thing, and that is tornadoes. All right, let's just talk about that. Usually we just see those, for the most part, if we hear about those, it's around springtime, right? That's when the adjustment of the cool fronts and all this and the weather, we generally will hear about tornadoes in. I've lived here my entire life. I've never actually seen a tornado like I'm seeing a tornado. And I don't hide from that kind of stuff. I'm generally the guy going outside with a video camera trying to capture that kind of stuff, because it's so rare that we see that. Now, with that being said, I mean, here it is 2024. There were some towns that were hit. For the most part, Tulsa, Oklahoma, we are not part of the tornado alley. It does tend to you'll hear notifications that, hey, there's a tornado and it's heading this way. And for whatever reason, and I've got some wood here and I'm knocking on it, for whatever reason, it tends to go around Tulsa. If we do get anything, it tends to be maybe an F1, and it's just going to break some limbs on some trees. Years back, I think a building lost a few windows, high-rise building that had an F1 or an F2, and that was actually in the Tulsa area. It just kind of skimmed. But as far as that, for the most part, you're not going to see a lot of tornadoes touching down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, the Tulsa County area, you might experience, if you're outside the Tulsa City area, then some of those areas do tend to experience a little bit of rotation or tornadic drop down. And so it can happen, but we, thank goodness, majority of the time, these are in unpopulated areas. For the majority of the time, but it's not as common as you would think. So I know the rumor has it, oh gosh, Oklahoma's tornado alley. Tulsa, Oklahoma is really not. So just be aware of that, and I hope that gives you a little bit of peace there, especially if you're considering Tulsa, Oklahoma. But if it's a non-negotiable and you had no clue Tulsa, Oklahoma area in Oklahoma has tornadoes, because maybe where you're living, you rarely ever hear about a tornado, well, then that is definitely something to consider. Here in August, we've experienced temperatures over 100 degrees. And the problem with Oklahoma is we tend to be a little more humid than some of these areas. So that amplifies that heat. Well, guess what else that amplifies? Well, it can amplify the winter months too. So when it's 30 degrees outside or 35 degrees outside, 37 degrees outside, if you have a higher level of humidity in the air, well, it's going to affect you. It's going to make you feel it's actually colder than what it is. But we do kind of have some extreme winters at times, not every winter. Occasionally we might hit the single digits. And I'm not just talking about wind chill. I'm talking about we may hit the single digits in temperatures, and sometimes it can last a week, maybe even 2 weeks. I think we had one year that it did last almost 2 weeks. But for the most part, you could wear a shirt like what I'm wearing right here, short sleeve shirt, around Christmas time. And then other times it could be snowing outside. So I've seen it snow or start snowing in October, and usually it's not a lot, right? Just some flurries or whatnot. Sometimes you might get a couple inches in October. And then I've seen it where we've had 70-degree weather throughout October and some of November and even some of December. Like I said, you could wear a t-shirt at times, sometimes. So welcome to Oklahoma. The saying goes, just wait a couple hours and the weather could change. There's a lot of truth to that. So in Oklahoma, for the most part, it's either going to be hot during summertime. Sometimes we do experience some cooler temps than normal around summertime. Winter months, we don't usually get a lot of snow. but sometimes there may be a week or maybe 2 weeks where we do get some snow, and we may get 6 inches of snow. It just really depends. I've seen some years in Oklahoma, we just get some flurries and that's it throughout the entire winter. Summertime, for the most part though, you're going to feel the heat at least for maybe 30 days, hit and miss here and there during your summer months, like in July, mid to late July to early to mid August. That's really kind of your peak heat season right there for Tulsa, Oklahoma. So just be aware of that. So if that's a non-negotiable to you, you absolutely hate the heat or you hate dealing with cold weather, well, you might want to reconsider Tulsa, Oklahoma. Perhaps the most inviting part of Tulsa, Oklahoma is just its people that you meet. We really do have good people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Most Tulsa Oklahomans are very down to earth and just very welcoming. So you're going to enjoy Tulsa, Oklahoma. I want to read one other thing to you. Since you are considering Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm assuming because you're watching this, you're considering moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or any of the immediate surrounding suburbs. And we've got some great suburbs. Tulsa is still incredibly affordable with a median home price of around $270,000, and we talked about that. Newcomers join a community with a thriving culture, award-winning parks. We have the Gathering Place here, one of the most amazing parks. No money was spared, I promise you. This is ranked, like, I want to say top 7 in the world. If you know what it's ranked, mention it down in the comments, but I want to say it's top 7 in the world. In the country, 2024, it was ranked number 1. There are niche areas around town that you're probably going to love just based on what your wants and your needs and your likes are. So I'm happy to talk with you about that. Again, doing this 26 years, make real estate as smooth as possible. And the big part about it, especially for you that are relocating to Tulsa, Oklahoma, is knowing where everything is. I can help you with all of that. So reach out, let's chat, and we'll go from there.